So if you're watching this, you're probably an e-commerce brand owner or you're just someone who works in Klaviyo accounts all the time. And you're looking through your Klaviyo account, maybe you're in MailChimp or something like Attentive, but ideally you're using Klaviyo and you want to know what's the highest leverage action we could take to make more money from our email and SMS marketing. So in this video, we want to break that down and essentially pinpoint exactly what you can be doing or what the quickest thing you can do is to make more money from your email and SMS marketing for your e-commerce brand specifically. So maybe you're selling on Shopify, maybe you're selling on BigCommerce, maybe you're selling on WooCommerce, it doesn't matter. This will help you out. Now, we've been doing this for essentially 2.5 years now, finding like what the biggest lever is in a client's Klaviyo account, specifically with their email and SMS marketing, and executing on that action to make them more money. And we've made over $5 million for them by doing that. So let's get into it. First thing that I want to make super clear here is that you're just trying to pinpoint what the bottleneck is. And in a minute, we're going to go through the typical like funnel overview of what an e-commerce brand's email marketing funnel actually looks like. But we want to find where the bottleneck is, because if you've worked in advertising, which as an e-commerce brand owner, you probably have some experience with your advertising. But if you can increase the conversion rates on the front end of the funnel compared to the back end, there's more people to go through all the rest of the funnel. So for example, if your ads double in click-through rate, now you have 2 times as many people coming through the landing pages, the website, the back end upsells, stuff like that. So that stuff on the front end is a lot higher leverage in most cases, unless it's already maxed out. And that's more high leverage in most cases than the stuff on the back end, because it increases the amount of people going through it. So we want to find where that bottleneck is in the funnel and what the highest leverage action is so that we can fix it and profit as a result. So steps to the funnel in e-commerce email marketing kind of look like this for the most part. So I want to break this down. First, you have list growth. So these are the actual people coming into your email list from ad traffic, organic social media traffic. Maybe it's Google SEO traffic. There's a bunch of different stuff like that it might be. Maybe it's affiliate traffic from something like TikTok. You're going to get people coming to your landing pages or your website, and you're going to have opt-in forms on your website that are growing the list. So I want to give you some context here. If your list growth, like for example, let's say you have an opt-in form on your website, on the main page of your website. If that opt-in form is not greater than 5%, ignore how terribly that 5 is written. If it's not greater than 5%, that's a big, bottleneck that we want to solve, because we want to get that over 5%. Now, if you're sitting here at like 9%, 10% opt-in rate on that form, you're growing the list pretty consistently. You're getting a nice flow of your traffic onto your email list every single day, every single week, every single month. So that's probably not necessarily where your bottleneck is. But like I said before, with the advertising example, the more people we get into our system on the front end, the more people that go through everything else in the back end. So like effectively, if you can double your list growth on a weekly or monthly basis, you essentially double the amount of people that you're marketing to, and therefore, in theory, double the amount of money that you're making from your email marketing. So this is a really simple step, because it'll look as simple as just like a basic form on a website, and it'll get overlooked, but it is literally the top of the funnel with your email marketing. So it's very important that you're split testing your opt-in form. You are monitoring the results. I want to give you some context. Some of the biggest split tests you can run on that opt-in form are going to be the offer itself, the timing/targeting. I'll get specific with that in a minute. The copy, and then honestly, in some cases, we see the design/layout being a higher lever than the copy in some cases. But these kind of can go hand in hand. It just depends on what you think is a bigger lever to pull on that form. So like for example, the offer, you might want to test like 10% off discount versus 15% off discount. And if they perform the same, then obviously we're going to go with the 10%. That's one example. You can also test like your 15% off versus the equivalent of that compared to your average order value in a dollar amount. So what I mean by that is, or let's take 10% off for easy math. Let's say you're offering 10% off, but your average order value is $100. You would want to offer, because 10% of that $100 AOV is $10. So we would do 10% off versus $10 off because it's equivalent in comparison to the AOV. So that's another good test to see if people respond better to the percentage or the dollar amount. And typically in that case, if they're the same, we found that the dollar amount actually wins there. Just a few examples. Timing/targeting, that'd be like the timing of which your opt-in form pops up on the website. You might even want to test doing like your main opt-in form and then a later exit intent opt-in form. That's something we've tested and found success with as well on some accounts. Design/layout, you can test image versus no image, dark versus light, logo versus no logo, color of the button, stuff like that. As you can tell, like these are starting to get like lower leverage tests compared to like the offer and the timing. And then you've got stuff like the copy. Of course, there's a million different copy tests you can run. But moral of the story here is that you want to make sure that we're optimizing this list growth component of our funnel because that is where everything filters into. All right, next you've got the welcome series. All right, so everyone from here is going to move into the welcome flow. Now you might have different welcome flows based on where they entered your funnel for email marketing, but in most cases, people are going to come in through that main form and they'll enter that main welcome series. Now, if your welcome series, like there was one example on a recent account, I actually made a video about it on this channel where I went over the audit for the $4 million a month brand, where their welcome series was only getting like a 40% open rate on email number one. So 40% open rate on an opening welcome email where keep in mind, the person opted into the opt-in form right here on step number one, and they have to go to the email to get the code, to get that discount code. And the welcome email, number one, only had a 40% open rate, which that wouldn't be bad on like a normal campaign, but on an opening welcome email where people have to go there to get the code, that tells me like there's something very wrong. Whether it's deliverability, we're going to spam, maybe the content's just not optimized. I don't know. There's something we have to fix there. So like that would be in this case a big bottleneck to solve. And then the rest of the welcome series, let's say it's not converting the way it should be, meaning you've only got 3 emails in there instead of like 8 over the course of 2 or 3 weeks. That's another bottleneck we might want to solve because all these people are getting their first chance to convert into a customer right here in that welcome series. All right, next we go into abandonment flows. So technically, you could consider like people could go straight from the welcome series into post-purchase flows. So like the funnel could look like this, but it could also look like this, where they go straight into abandonment flows. Because from this point forward, people can go into different places based on what they do. So like, for example, if they don't buy here and it's been a while, but then they start like browsing around or adding things to their cart, then they're going to enter the abandonment flows. Now, if you find that your welcome series seems to convert really well, but anyone who doesn't convert in that welcome series just is not buying from the abandonment flows, maybe your bottleneck is your abandonment flows. So a few things you might be missing there would be like you're not handling common objections in the abandonment flows. I audited another brand, this is about 3 days ago, and their abandonment flows were literally as generic as can be. It was like generic headline, picture of the item that they missed, button, and then it was just like some generic product sections that are like dynamically inserted by Klaviyo. There was zero like strategic copy. There was no objections being handled. There was no education being given to the customer. Nothing like that. It was just like generic, like email 1, email 2, and it was only about 2 emails long each. So in that case, I would look at that and be like, all right, I know for a fact, even just by like taking the basic steps within a week, we can make these abandonment flows convert way better than they are right now. And that's going to solve a huge bottleneck here, which is people are browsing and they're getting all the way to that stage where they're looking at a specific product or they're adding that product to their cart or they're getting all the way to the checkout page, but they're just not buying. So in that case, we want to convert those people using better abandonment email flows. And you can also use SMS as well. But with SMS abandonment flows, I believe the regulations are still like this for all platforms, where you can only have one SMS in that flow. But regardless, it's still good to have those set up. That might be another example of where you're not even using SMS abandonment flows, and I would recommend you get that set up as well. Now, post-purchase. So all of these things, and to be fair, campaigns are listed at number 5, but campaigns can also start making an impact like over here in the funnel, because people might enter the welcome series, get through that welcome series without buying, and then we put them into our general campaign pool. And from that point forward, they're going to be receiving campaigns. So that might take place right around here. But, like, for example, it could make sense if I put this list like 1, 2, 3, campaigns 4, and then post-purchase flows 5. But regardless, post-purchase flows is your opportunity to get these people to keep buying over and over and over again. And it's honestly, I would make the claim that post-purchase flows are where most e-commerce brands go the most wrong in their email marketing, because the whole point of email and SMS marketing is to, obviously we want to convert more people into a first-time buyer, but the big benefit of email and SMS is to convert those buyers into repeat buyers and increasing their lifetime value with our brand, meaning we paid $50 to acquire that customer through paid ads, but now they've bought so many times through email and SMS that they've paid us like $500 over the course of their lifetime. So in theory, on that person, we got a 10x ROAS. So we want to do that with as many people as we can. And we do that through really well-built, robust post-purchase flows. Now, the structure here is going to be slightly different depending on your brand, but for most brands, you're going to want to roll with the following structure, because we've seen this work very well. And this is what we'll set up for most brands in most cases. So you're going to have a first-time buyer series. You're going to have a repeat buyer series. You're going to have a VIP flow. And then you're going to have a customer win-back flow. All right, now, as you can see, these kind of like go down a line in their own type of funnel on their own. Because as soon as someone buys for the first time, they're going to get this first-time buyer series. When they buy the next time, they'll get into the repeat buyer series. Then over time, they turn into a VIP. They get the VIP flow. And then if they ever stop buying, they'll get the win-back flow. Now, the point of each of those flows is to move someone into that next one. So the whole purpose of your first-time buyer series should be actually a couple things. Number one, we want to remove buyer's remorse. So when people buy something, we want to reinforce that decision so that they feel good about the purchase. The last thing you want is someone buying and then they get like nothing other than a basic order confirmation from your brand. And now they're like, was that even a good decision? Like, should I have even done that? I haven't heard anything from this brand. Like, we want to send them content immediately after that purchase. So like, we are so happy to have you in our community now. You're going to love the product. This is like some of the benefits you're going to start experiencing. This is the impact it's going to have on you. Stuff like that. Like, we just want to reinforce that buying decision for them. And number two, we want to upsell them, but tastefully. Let me put that in parentheses here. We want to tastefully upsell them. What I mean by that is, and we literally have feedback from customers from brands we've worked with saying this exact thing. If you try to upsell someone before they've like even gotten a chance to experience that product, they're most likely going to be pissed or they're going to be annoyed by it. And so what you want to do instead is you want to make sure you're timing your first-time buyer series properly so that they're not getting any upsell content until they've had the product for at least long enough to experience some type of positive result from it. All right. And the other thing with the upsells is that we can do these so that they are specific to product/category. Now, if you have 100 products and they're all very different, it's going to be a lot harder for you to execute this. But if you just have 3-4 main products or 3 to 4 main categories of product, you can do the upsell threads of content based on what they purchased or what was in their order. And then you can use filtering in Klaviyo to make sure that they never receive an upsell where it's selling them something that they already bought. So that's about it for the first-time buyer series. Repeat buyer series. So in this flow, usually this one's a lot more simple in our eyes because they've already proven that they like the products. So we're just going to, once again, remove that buyer's remorse and reinforce that buying decision for them. And then we just want to prime them to continue buying from our campaign emails that we're consistently sending them. What do I mean by that? so when I say prime them to continue buying from their campaigns, we just want to like make sure that it's reinforced in their mind the benefit of staying on our email list and like what we're going to be sending them. You know, like you've entered like a different tier of our brand, so we're going to send you more content like this. And then you genuinely do that. So like you segment out your campaigns so that people that have bought 2 times or more literally get like more valuable information or different types of content than the other people. There's a lot of different ways you can run that strategy, but it should be consistent across the whole brand for, you know, as long as you run that strategy. Now, VIP flow. So the VIP flow's purpose is going to be more so just to like welcome them into an upper echelon of your brand. And then sometimes we'll give like a reward, like a free branded thing of the company. That's just like a little freebie that is inexpensive to create. That's one example. Another things that you can really, really, really leverage and sell your rewards or loyalty program here to those VIP people. And then we move on to win back. So if these people stop buying for any reason for a long time, we want to win them back onto the email list, and we do that with customer win back. Now, I've had the idea before of spanning this out to being like a really long flow and like really going hard on bringing these people back and turning them into another buyer. But realistically, I got some good advice on that. Like it's not actually a good idea to do that, because if these people aren't buying again for a long time, there's probably a reason for it. So not like it should only take 3 to 4 reminders or reasons for them to buy, and them still not being sold on those. Like that should be about it. Like there's no reason to push it past that. But what does work really well here is an offer, like a welcome back offer, to make sure that they come back and make that purchase, and just giving them like that one-time limited time offer specifically through this automation. So those are like the key steps to that post-purchase funnel. Now, in terms of finding the bottleneck, that's going to be very specific to your brand and your products and like the sales cycle of those products. So like if you sell something where it's a supplement and they should be buying every 30 days, you can get a lot more specific with what you expect your KPIs to be throughout these flows. But if you sell something where it doesn't really make sense for them to repurchase for like 6 months, then you have to be a lot more patient and a lot more lenient with these KPIs, because you know it could take 6 months for someone to purchase again. Like we can't expect them to be rebuying the next month. So those are a few things to keep in mind there. Now, campaigns. So like I said, campaigns are gonna typically, so just quick like pro tip here, usually when someone enters our welcome series, we'll exclude them from receiving our campaigns unless, and the way we do that is by creating a segment of people that are currently in the welcome series. Now, if we're setting a campaign that's like really important, like it's a product drop or it's like a new sale or something like that, like a big offer, then we'll send it to them even if they are in the welcome series. But in most cases, for like general campaigns, we won't send it to the people that are still in the welcome flow. But one thing we started doing in our campaigns a little while ago is taking any campaign that we send out to like the general engaged segment of the list, and we'll break it out into the buyers of that engaged segment and the non-buyers of that engaged segment. And what we found is that, and not surprisingly at all, a lot of those purchases, like I would say, like, I don't want to throw out a random statistic, but based on what I remember seeing when we reviewed that last, it tends to be about like 75% of the purchases are from the people that have already bought from us before. Meaning the campaigns that you're sending out on a weekly basis are a massive lever in getting people to continuously repurchase from your brand. So because of that, if the campaigns suck, or if your strategy sucks for your campaigns, that's a massive bottleneck in getting people to repurchase over and over and over again and increase those people's lifetime value, because it's just such a good opportunity to market to those people through campaigns. So just to give you some context on some metrics here, we always like to shoot for 40% open rates. So these are kind of like our benchmarks. 40% open rates. We tend to set our standard for click rate averages at 0.75%. We used to have that at 1, but the thing is, when you're sending higher volume, like at least 3 to 4 campaigns per week, it just becomes very clear that your click rates will dip a little bit, but the sales overall will increase because you're sending more content out. And so that's fine by us as long as like we care about making money, not click rates. But the click rates are usually an indicator of that. So 0.75%, if it dips below that, there's usually like some stuff we want to attempt to change. But 0.75 is kind of like our baseline KPI. And then of course, are we making money? Like, are we making as much money from these campaigns as we should? If you sell a higher ticket item, like that's like $500 to $1,000 plus, you might find that you're gonna get less sales like consistently, whereas people with or brands with lower ticket products will see like consistent sales across the board on campaign emails. But like you can usually judge it. If you're selling a higher ticket item and you're literally going like 5 straight campaigns without getting a sale, there's probably an issue there. Or maybe your traffic just isn't good enough, or like your lead quality sucks. There's some type of issue here that we have to like diagnose. So those are my main thoughts with campaigns. There's a lot of like context I could share on campaigns, so if you have any questions on it, drop in the comments. But now, the honorable mention here is deliverability. Deliverability affects all of this. Literally all of this is affected by deliverability, because your deliverability is essentially how well or how often are you landing in the primary tab of your subscribers' inboxes. If you're landing in spam, then your deliverability is terrible and everything is screwed. All of this stuff is screwed if your deliverability is really bad and you're landing in spam. If your deliverability is A+ and you're landing in primary tab almost all the time, then that's amazing, and all this stuff will thrive as a result. So just very quickly, I want to reiterate to you guys, as I often do in this channel, the main pillars of deliverability is your domain setup, your content optimization, and your list quality. All right, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about this part because I've got full videos going through everything you need to know for deliverability. But domain setup is going to come down to your DNS records. So these are going to be the DNS records set up on the actual domain that you're sending from, like brandname.com. And you want to make sure you have a DMARC record, so that's DMARC. You want a DKIM record, and you want an SPF record. Like I said, I've got full videos on this channel about deliverability that you can watch to get like the full info on those. Content optimization, that simply means that you want to make sure that your content has text blocks in it. There's something called promotional percentage that spam filters on like Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, all those types of platforms watch out for. And if they see just all images and no text, they're going to flag you much more easily. But if you have like a big text block in your footers that's like universal, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to flag you, because that big text block of like 400 or 500 words of text outweighs the images and the GIFs in your emails. So it's kind of like a pro tip for optimizing the content that you're actually sending out. The last part is list quality. If you have a bunch of garbage turds on your list that, you know, just aren't going to open emails because they're not actually people interested in your brand, that's going to hurt it a lot, because these people are just not going to open. Like I said, a big part of deliverability is your sender reputation. And that happens by hitting metrics like this. If you're not getting at least 40% average open rates, then we need to make changes to either the list or the content. Maybe the DNS records need to be fixed. If the click rates suck, like obviously that could be an indicator of the content. In many cases it is, but it could also be an indicator that the list just sucks. So you want to make sure your list quality is good. A couple of quick tips. Like I said, if you want more context on deliverability specifically, watch the other videos on my channel that literally go in depth, everything you need to know about deliverability. Now, that's about it for finding the bottlenecks in your funnel and the steps along that way when it comes to specifically your e-commerce brand's email marketing. Hope you found this valuable. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And I'm going to leave a link in the description for you to join my free newsletter. That's where I send out content like 3 to 5 times a week, just on stuff to help your e-commerce brand make more money. And if you want a dedicated team to come in and help you guys make more money from your email and SMS marketing, I will leave another link in the description to our main website where you can check us out and book a call with me. Essentially just to talk about how we can help you guys out. We'll do a free audit of your account and just see what the highest leverage actions are for you. So yeah, any questions? Drop in the comments. Talk to you soon.